Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Down Syndrome Center podcast. As always, I am your host, Dr. Kishore Volodi. Today's topic is one that I love to talk about. It is the NDSC convention, otherwise known as the Great Annual Family Reunion for people with Down syndrome, really, and their families from all over the world. And I wanted to make sure that we brought our friends from the NDSC onto the podcast today to talk about convention, as registration is opening today and is available online for folks to be able to do. But I think a lot of people at this point may have forgotten perhaps what convention is all about. We've been doing virtual online stuff since COVID, and it's so wonderful to be able to share that we will be meeting in person. But before I get too far into this podcast, I would love to have our speakers introduce themselves. We have Tamara Pursley and Jordan Coe on the podcast with me today. Tamara, why don't we start with you? Tell us who you are, what you do, why you love working with people with Down syndrome.
Sure. Thank you, Kishore. My name is Tamara Pursley, and I'm the Programs and Partnerships Director for the National Down Syndrome Congress. And I have been here for 9 years now. So I've worn many hats here at the NDSC, but programs and partnerships is where my heart is. I get to work with the families. I get to work with all of the affiliates and the national organizations to collaborate on all things Down syndrome, not just around the convention, but year round for all of the other things that we do. I love working with people with Down syndrome because I have a 16-year-old son who has Down syndrome. I got involved at the local level with the Down Syndrome Association of Atlanta when I was new to the community, and had the opportunity to come join this great team at the NDSC. And I have never regretted it.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe 9 years. That means that you were new when I started on the board, and I can't,
Yep.
For folks who are not as familiar perhaps with NDSC, things that happen behind the scenes, things that make the organization run, Tamara is behind so much of that. So Tamara, we really do appreciate what you do for all of the families served by the NDSC. Our next speaker who's joining us is going to be new to most people, and that is because he just began in this position, I believe, at the beginning of this year, 2022. And Jordan, why don't you fill us in on who you are, what you are doing at the organization now, and why you love working with this population?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on. I am the new executive director here at the National Down Syndrome Congress. And not so new anymore. It was January 3rd that I came on board. We're in the middle of March now. So I'm getting my bearings and kind of figuring out where we're trying to go. Just as a start, I love working with people with Down syndrome and all disabilities, in the sense that, we're in this world and place where the ability of anybody is limitless, and that we have this society that oftentimes is trying to put these restraints on what they think people can accomplish and tell them what they can do in advance of that. And I love working with these communities, and I love working with the Down syndrome community, because we don't accept that. We don't say that you get to decide what someone is capable of before you get to know them, before you learn them, and before you find out, what they're great at. And so I'm super excited to be here in that regard. And I'm super excited to be here for this year's convention. I keep hearing that it's the biggest family reunion that I'm going to attend in my entire life. I can't wait. I've spent the last, 10 weeks getting to meet all kinds of new people, a lot of them by Zoom. So this is going to be my first chance to meet with them in person. So if anybody wants to get a chance to know me a little bit better, I'm happy to talk on Zoom or get to know you a little bit. Feel free to reach out to us at NDSC. I'm happy to chat and get to know you. And then really excited to get to meet everybody in person when we get to New Orleans in June.
Yes, and Jordan, it's been great getting to work with you these last couple of months, 2 or 3 months now, and families, really, it's a wonderful addition to our NDSC family to have Jordan on board here as our executive director. So let's just get right into it. I think for families who may not have ever attended a convention, who maybe didn't even know that something like this existed, can you give us a little bit more of an idea? Like, what is the NDSC convention? Tamara, let's start with you. What would you say if someone was to say, what is the NDSC convention? What would you tell them?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's a place for people to come together to hear the latest, accurate, and up-to-date information about Down syndrome. No matter what age or stage your loved one with Down syndrome is in at that moment, there's a topic for you. For other people, it's a vacation. It's about the destination, and they may stay before or after to explore the city that they're in. But for everyone, it really is that that giant family reunion, and everyone is so ready to be in person again.
Yeah. Why would you say, Tamara, why would you say that in person would make it a different experience than perhaps the virtual the last couple of years? I mean, we've had some great content on the virtual conventions the last couple of years, but what is it about an in-person convention you think that makes this so special?
Hugs. No.
Yeah.
Hugs
Yes.
is a big part of it, but I think for a new family, especially for someone who's never attended, or for someone like Jordan, who maybe he doesn't have a direct connection to Down syndrome, but he's going to have thousands of them now. You walk into the space, and everywhere you turn, there's a family or a person with Down syndrome at different ages. And the first time for me, I was fortunate. It was held in Atlanta, and my son was 9 months old, and everywhere I turned, I saw, what my future held. And I think that's a big part of it. So the being in person, you also get to meet people that you've only maybe met on Zoom or on other social media platforms. There are so many people that have connected via Facebook or Instagram who have become fast friends, and they meet up in person at the NDSC convention. I think that's the key to it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think whenever I think of the convention, I think of the Monday following after the convention week is done, and how my face hurts from all the smiling because there's so much joy in that place, not just from the people attending, but just the watching people interact, maybe even for the first time, with someone with Down syndrome, the hotel crew, the restaurant folks, just folks that are there who've never really met someone with Down syndrome. It's such a statement to be able to be in a hotel full of thousands of people who are there celebrating a loved one with Down syndrome. There's nothing like it. There's really nothing like it.
We have turned people around about their thoughts on people with disabilities at hotels, so much so that if we've been within the same hotel chain from one year to the next, they compete with each other to see who can outdo each other on their customer service.
Wow. And Jordan, let me ask you, this year's convention, can you give us some of the details? Like when is it going to be? Where is it going to be held? What, Tamara was telling us about destination sometimes being important. I think we got a good one this year.
Yeah, we're going to be in New Orleans, and it's June 23rd to June 26th. So just a few months away. So we're excited to see you. New Orleans is such an amazing city with an amazing culture, amazing vibrancy, music, food, all of the amazing things that you can hear. And, I actually, just a few weeks ago was meeting with one of the Down syndrome associations that are local there in New Orleans. And they said that people forget that it's a great place to travel for vacation. There's an awesome zoo, there's awesome wildlife, there are places to travel. You can go out on the lake. It's not just, what a lot of people think is the headliner of, just a couple of weeks ago, we had Mardi Gras, and people think about that, but it really is a family-centered town. There are awesome tours, there's awesome history, there are awesome parks. So we want families to come on in. We want them to join us there. We're super excited to be back in person. I think that over the last few weeks, we've seen that evolution where people are starting to get back together. Those hugs are starting to happen again. That connection and that joy is all building up. So we're hopeful that all of you are going to be excited to join us there. And, come find me, because it's going to be my first convention, and everything that I keep hearing about what this is going to be like and what I'm going to experience it's so amazing. But I think the best story that I've heard, and I've probably heard this from at least 8 different people that have told me what they love about the convention. They said that it's the one place that they feel like they get to go, and when they're in that space, they're home, and that all the things that you experience every day in your life is the normal, and it is what everybody else around you expects that is going to happen. And no one is giving you funny looks because your kid is being a little bit loud or is walking away or doing something different. That it's everybody just, they assume that those things are going to happen. They know those things are going to happen. They accept those things as part of that. And it's one of those, for a lot of people, it's the first time that they get to go and experience that. For families that are out there listening to this podcast, where you're in a community where there are only a few other families that, have kids that have Down syndrome that your kid's been able to connect with, there are going to be lots of smiles, lots of hugs, lots of connections. But it's going to be a place that I can't wait to get to, because I've been promised I'm going to feel like I'm home as soon as I get there. And I'm sure that we'll ensure that you all have the same experience when you get there too.
Yeah, that's great. And I would definitely second that. New Orleans, I've been there just in the past, not even related to the convention, and it's a very family friendly city. I think it has a reputation for Mardi Gras in that February March area, but it is by far even the parades that go through and everything else. It's a very family friendly place, and so I think our families will be very pleased with the location. Tamara, I've had the opportunity to share to participate with you in the convention planning committee and for the NDSC. So you know very well kind of what are some of the general topics that are going to be covered. Because even though we're meeting all our families and enjoying the experience, really the nuts and bolts of things really comes down to the topics that are going to be covered during the convention that would bring people there. So give us an idea, like what are some of the general topic areas that are going to be covered?
Absolutely. So, as I said earlier, we do work with families, across the lifespan. So we'll have things for all different ages and stages, but in topic areas like medical that and Kishore will be presenting at our convention with some of his colleagues, but behavior, speech and communication, and then things for people that are transitioning. So you've got that transition to adulthood, post-secondary opportunities, plus the inclusion and education sessions that are going on, planning for that independence, whether it's financial planning or looking at employment in the future, independent living. And then we've got some things, specifically for our self-advocates about public speaking and entrepreneurship. We have information for parents who may have co-occurring Down syndrome and autism and the things that come along with that. But, a lot of those sessions are good for anyone who's in the Down syndrome community. And then we also have things for affiliate leaders during our deep dive sessions. So those leaders from around the country that will take the information back to their families that may not make it to the convention too.
That's great. And so it sounds like there's so much content. I mean, I think that when the final list comes out, it can sometimes feel like, wow, it's kind of overwhelming to see this many opportunities. What if a family says, I want to go, but I've got, my young child, perhaps a child with Down syndrome, perhaps siblings. What can they do? Like, how can they attend all these wonderful things if their kids are perhaps so young that they're not going to be able to stay, attuned to what's going on in front of them?
Sure. Well, at the NDSC convention, it is a very family-friendly convention, and there's something for everyone. So for your parents, adult siblings, maybe grandparents or other caregivers, there's the general conference. That's where we have 6 cycles of workshops, around 80 or so to choose from in each cycle. And if if there's more than one that you feel like you're going to miss out on, just know that included with your general conference registration is 6 months access to the recordings of all of the sessions that are recorded, 6 months online. And then for the individuals with Down syndrome who are 15 and older, we have our Youth and Adults Conference. It's kind of the heart and soul of the NDSC convention. They have self-advocate speakers and other presenters in their sessions, but they have their whole entire conference that is happening the same time the general conference ones are, and in a supported environment with tons of volunteers, so you can feel that your loved one is in a safe setting while you're off learning the important things you need to learn. For our school age siblings who are rising 4th through 12th graders, we have a siblings conference. It is led by college age siblings who have been through the program before. They keep it kind of secret so that they can have their secret siblings club, which, as you guys all know that Kishore is a member of, but it gives siblings a safe space to learn how to be a better sibling, but also to maybe vent your frustrations. And then for our younger crowd, we have our kids camp. That's an optional add-on for our attendees to have a safe environment to put children with or without Down syndrome who are 6 weeks to 14 years of age in a camp-like setting where they do activities and fun things, but it's also, again, surrounded with lots of supportive volunteers. This year, we're focusing a lot on making sure that it's also educational and that the volunteers that are in that setting are maybe, OTs and PTs and SLPs who will also, for those with Down syndrome, maybe be able to help do some therapy while they're in there too.
Wow.
And if the kids camp fills up really quickly. I mean, registration to open today, I can tell you that some of those sessions may fill up as soon as today or tomorrow. It's that quick, but don't fear. You can bring your young kiddos into the general workshop sessions. It's okay. Lots of people do. We just ask that if they might cause a ruckus, you step out into the hallway, just, for the sake of your fellow attendees, but it is okay to bring them in. And if you are bringing children into the general conference, they do not have to have a registration name badge. The name badges are for the parents.
Wonderful. I mean, so there really is something for everyone. And I think that as we think about just options that are available for folks in the Down syndrome community to be able to learn and be able to congregate in this way with each other, there really is nothing like it. I think you guys would agree. There's nothing like this convention, no opportunities like this really anywhere else to get this comprehensive of something for everyone in this whole community. So that's fantastic. The last time we had the convention live, it was here in Pittsburgh in 2019. It's hard to imagine that was the last time that we were live and in person. So very exciting. So as you said, today, March 14th, it has opened registration. And so how does somebody find their way to register? What is the cost? Things like that. Can you give us some of those details, Jordan or Tamara?
Yeah, so you can make your way to the NDSC website, and you're going to be able to register for the conference there. There are a lot of different opportunities and add-ons. Tamara just spoke about a couple different ones. So the kids camps have unique sessions and days and times that you'll need to look at. The deep dives that you can add on to your conference registrations, the youth and adults section of the conference, the sibling section of the conference. So make sure that you're extra careful when you're picking and choosing your registrations there. A general conference registration is $229. Our sibling is $129. Is that right, Tamara?
It is, and so is the youth and adults. It's $129 as well.
And then I think each one of those kid camp sessions is $69. And
49.
I think those are
kids,
or 49.
Yep, kids camp are 49. The deep dives are 69.
Keeping me on my toes, Tamara. Thanks for making sure that I get those right. So some of those will fill up early and can be completely full. For others, you want to get registered early because we do have these are our early bird prices. And so those are going to go up in a few weeks from now. Make sure that you take a look at everything that we have to offer there. But the sooner that you register, the better deal and opportunity there is for you.
Wonderful. And I will put the website for the National Down Syndrome Congress, the NDSC convention, into our show notes so that you can just open this podcast up and just click on the link there to be able to register, see all the costs and all those types of things. And we were talking about how, of course, this is going to be in person in New Orleans. Families will ask, is there going to be a hybrid offering? How would you answer that, Tamara? Is there a hybrid, or you got to be there or be square?
You got to be there or be square. Although,
yes.
Well, it's not a hybrid offering. It's just we do have the recordings of the general conference sessions. Those will be made available to people who cannot attend in person. That information will be up on it's up on the website now. But there is an opportunity to purchase those recordings. Just know that they are audio recordings that are synchronized with the PowerPoints. But there's nothing like being there in person. I mean, it's just cost prohibitive to try to do a hybrid option too.
And so for families who want to attend that don't live in New Orleans, for example, they need to find lodging or ideas for meals. What do we have available for them? Do we have any kind of hotels, contracted meals? How are they going to manage all of those things?
Sure. Well, we are at the Hyatt Regency New Orleans, which is on Loyola Avenue, and we have a hotel block. So once you complete your registration, you get a link to the hotel block. The room rate is $167 a night. I think with taxes and everything included, it comes out to about $197 a night. We do not have a meal plan this year. There are some years at the convention where we do offer a meal plan, which is kind of a meal package for people. But it was really cost prohibitive at this hotel. However, they are going to have a ballroom set aside with grab and go stations where you can get affordable meals. And we have already coached them about making sure that we have gluten-free meals for folks that need them, as well as vegetarian options. So those will be available for breakfast and lunch on all of the days, with the exception of no lunch on Sunday as we wrap up at noontime. But there are also many restaurants that are walking distance from the hotel. The Convention and Visitors Bureau is going to make sure that those restaurants know that there are going to be 3,000 people or more that are going to be trying to come eat in their restaurants. So we will make sure that they know we're coming. There's also a grocery store just about 2 blocks from the hotel, where if you want to pick up some things to have in your room, maybe for a quick breakfast or something like that. Parking at the hotel is kind of a premium. I will tell you that it is $40 a night, and it is valet only. They do not have a self-park option. However, there are 2 parking decks that are really close by that are kind of public parking decks where it's more affordable. It's not a bad Uber or Lyft or shuttle from the airport if you're flying in. But if you are considering renting a car, you might want to reconsider just for that parking cost.
Yeah, I think it's a fixed price from the airport actually to the hotel at like something like $35 or $37. So okay. That way for folks coming in, they know exactly what they're going to get in that regard.
Yeah.
And that actually, if it's not already on the website, it will be, as we are adding more things in as you're planning your trip. We tend to do that as we get a little bit closer to the actual convention dates, so that people know, where are the things to go. We do also have at least one discount on rental car rates, I believe through Avis, if that's something you're looking for. And depending on what area you're flying from, there are some really great airline deals, that it's not a bad airport to get in and out of. The New Orleans airport was built a whole new terminal 2 years ago, and I think it's made it a bigger hub. So that's
Wonderful.
Great for them.
Wonderful. So as always, the NDSC has thought of everything. And I think that part of that, when we think about convention, is this is not the first time that NDSC has had a convention. Jordan, how many years will this be commemorating for conventions for NDSC?
Yeah, this is our 50th year, and Kishore, we're really excited. We're gonna be doing some extra things because it is our 50th year, and so and because we're gonna be in New Orleans. It is the theme of this year's convention is Lagniappe, which is this New Orleans style concept of doing something a little extra, giving a little bit of extra, kind of bringing people in together and making them part of your family in that part of the process. And so we're really excited to have that be the theme. We're going to have a masquerade ball. We have a banquet that people are invited to. We're going to have some awesome awardees and presentations there. We're hoping to do kind of a historical, I won't call it a mural, but a historical opportunity for people to look at the history of NDSC, see some pictures and some photos, be able to tap into some of that. We're going to do hopefully have a second line parade that's going to go through the convention center itself. So that's very New Orleans. And then other things that I'm not, Tamara has telling me I'm not allowed to reveal here. You've got to be at the convention. You got to experience it. There are a lot of other cool things that we're already looking to the local families, the BSA in New Orleans, Upside Down, some other organizations that are there. They've already helped us kind of get pointed in the right direction to make sure that we've got a really local feel to what we're providing this year.
I mean, this is just super, very, very exciting, and I think we want to make sure too that our listeners know from a COVID safety perspective, we've even been thinking about that. We are having constant reappraisals of the COVID guidelines. You can find them on the website as well as they stand now. But as we get closer and closer, we'll keep you posted if there's any changes, hopefully for the better, as we see the COVID situation hopefully starting to improve in the country. So really, really exciting times for us to be getting back together in New Orleans. Looking forward to seeing everyone again. Before we close this podcast, are there any final thoughts or comments that we didn't discuss about convention? I think we've covered most things, but Tamara, what do you think?
I think I'd also like to make mention of our educators conference. We've been having it for many years in conjunction with our convention and at in other cities not in conjunction with the convention. We have moved it a day earlier, so it is on Thursday of our 4-day event. And it is for educators to get those tips, tools, and strategies to take back to their classroom, whether they're a gen ed teacher, a special ed teacher, or a school administrator. It is taught by top-notch experts in education. We are also very excited to have some special guests coming this year too. And that Educators Conference registration is also already open. It is $150 per teacher. It includes lunch for the full day of programming, as well as a certificate for CEU credits.
Wonderful. So this is definitely something that families should share with their teachers and administrators in their local districts as almost like a side benefit of the convention for them. Even if they don't have a family member, they can learn how best education practices are there for people with Down syndrome. So that's awesome. Jordan, anything else you would want to add?
Yeah, we've covered almost all of it. There will be kind of a specific medical panel, global medical panel that's going to be there as well. So, really just a reminder that, whatever questions you have and anything that you'd be looking to have answered or an experience that you want to have over the course of these 4 days, those opportunities are going to be there for you. Networking, learning, experiencing, hugging, all of it is going to be there for you. And we'd really love to see you there. We're really going to be trying to do our best to bring back the experience of our conventions that we used to have. We're redeveloping those muscles since we haven't been able to do it in person the last couple of years, but we'd love to see you there, and we hope you can join us.
This is very exciting stuff. All of the world's experts are there to come and to meet with you and educate you on all things Down syndrome. All of the families from all over the world very literally come as well. There's nothing like it. And so I'm very excited myself for June. My whole family is coming. Tamara, you can sign my teenage kids up for volunteering. They are excited to do that as well. And we will be there in New Orleans, very, very ready for an in-person convention. So to our listeners, I hope we've given you some great information on this convention. You can, of course, find more online. I'll put the website again to the NDSC in the show notes. Go ahead and register. Some of these things go really quick, so it's good to get your names in there and get the registration process going. As always, if you have other topics that you would like us to cover, things that you have questions about, please do reach out to us at Down Syndrome Center at chp.edu. If you'd like to partner with us in what we do with this podcast, please go to givetochildrens.org/Down Syndrome Center. And as always, until next time, bye-bye.